Charter School Connection podcast. I'm Shawn Wortham. I'm going to be hosting this episode for you all, and it's actually pretty unique because I got to speak with Millea, who is a student at East Mountain High in New Mexico. This is the first Charter School Connection podcast where we actually talked with a student and kind of got their perspective of what it is like being a student at a charter school. And I think all of our listeners will really appreciate this episode just to expound a little bit more on like how to interact with their students, what students care about, and what they're looking for in a charter school. As you'll see in the podcast, Miller is extremely impressive, and he cares a lot about advocacy. He cares a lot about his school, and you find very few teenagers like Miller, his level of maturity, and the things that he cares about. So I hope you enjoy this podcast episode. I certainly enjoyed hosting it, and thanks for tuning in for the Charter School Connection. See ya. Miller, thanks so much for hopping on this call today.
Of course, happy to be here.
Yeah, everyone. Miller is a student that reached out. Is kind of funny. Is last week I was preparing to meet with his principal Trey when Miller hopped on the call and explained that he's been listening to the podcast. He heard about us through the Ask Academy. We recently did their podcast, and so it was not expected, but I'm super glad to have Miller on the podcast. Miller, you're actually our first like non-charter school employee, but like an actual student. So congrats on that.
Awesome. Thank you.
But yeah, please go ahead and just explain a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background and how you ended up on our podcast.
Awesome. So my name is Millea. I'm a senior at East Mountain High School in Sandia Park, New Mexico. I've gone to East Mountain since I was a freshman. My mom has worked here for 25 years at East Mountain. And so I was kind of opened up and to the charter school community when I was really young. I've been here since I was really born, actually. And I have had access to kind of a charter school community and what a charter school education looks like for a while, even though I've only gone to a charter school in high school, but I've been up here in the East Mountains, and I love the close-knit community that we have in the East Mountains, but also at East Mountain High School. It's been really amazing, and I'm super excited to see where our school is going. So yeah, a little bit about me.
Awesome. Besides, being a student at East Mountain, like what are some other things? Like, are you involved in any like clubs or sports or anything that fill up your time?
Yeah, for sure. I love speech and debate. I think that's one of my biggest passions. I found that it's given me a whole lot of speaking skills, leadership skills, and everything like that. We travel with our team to a lot of places, and I find that it's a really important part of myself, but also the school as well. We have a really large team. I do music. We have a non-traditional music program at East Mountain. It's called Recording Arts, where we write and record and produce our own albums with our own original songs. And so we release them on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. We do all that, and we record them right here at the school, which has been amazing. It's taught me a whole lot and how to actually use music to make a product instead of just play the guitar. It's been pretty incredible. And then I do a student leadership club that I started here called the East Mountain Advocacy Committee. So basically that committee helps with like lobbying for potential bills that are going to help charter schools or not help charter schools. We also go to APS, our Albuquerque Public School Board meetings, and speak for our school or for any charter school proposal that they're presenting. I know we had to speak a couple weeks ago when there was a moratorium that APS is going to place on charter schools. Our committee spoke out against that, along with the other people speaking out against. And I also love to play golf. I'm on the varsity golf team as well, which I really love.
Wow, that's awesome, Miller. Yeah, like I said this the first time I met you, I'm super impressed. I know when I was your age in high school, I was just wasting time playing video games and like, I don't know, not doing what you're doing. So that's great. You're off to a great start. Well, it is very rare that we have an opportunity to chat with a student attending a charter school. And like I've been to hundreds of charter schools just with my career at Charter Connect, but when I do these school tours, like I never actually pause and like talk with the students. It's always just an administrator showing me the campus and what their school's doing. But so I'm really anxious to kind of get your opinion on things. And so, I mean, the first thing I would like to talk about is obviously like you're in a geographically like interesting area, right? You said you're about 30, 40 minutes outside of Albuquerque, but you're in a very rural area on the east side of what's the name of the mountain kind of on the east side of Albuquerque?
The Sandia Mountains.
The
Yeah.
Sandia Mountains. So you're on the east side of those mountains and in a rural area. What's that like being in a charter school in like a rural area?
So really for lack of a better word, it means that in some ways we're kind of disconnected, which is not necessarily like a bad thing, but we have kind of different accesses. We have a different access to different materials and resources. I know one thing that has been like a really large leap and a struggle with our school is going to be our busing system and how we get students to East Mountain, because we never really had a busing system because we've been pulling from so many areas around the general Albuquerque area that it's been hard because we're not in one central place where there's a large population of people. Like you said, we're in a rural area. And so one way we've kind of mitigated that, we found like a one central location where we will have a busing system that can run in and out of our school. And so that's been great. But being in a rural area means that we can kind of be on our own, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is that we have the ability to do things within our own area. We have a lot of access to the wildlife that is outside, and we tend to have our classrooms typically outside because we are in a space that is where we have access to so much nature and open space that we are really able to explore and kind of expand ourselves and not be confined to a classroom, which I think is actually really interesting. That is not typically seen often. We're able to kind of go out into our woods behind school, do studies, and all these really interesting things because we're kind of in a rural nature, necessarily because we're in the mountains. I think it's different being in like a flat rural area and then a mountainous rural area. And we have access to all that land and the woods and everything that will offer to us.
Man. Well, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, way to talk about the strengths and the challenges of being in a rural spot. You mentioned your mom works at East Mountain, so I'm sure, like, before you could drive, she was taking you to and from school. But do you know generally, like, do you have some classmates where they've explained like what that commute looks like? Are their parents like traveling like hours a day, dropping and picking up their students, or?
100%. There's a town outside of Sandia Park, Moriarty, which is around 34 minutes away. And so many students come from Moriarty, and so they have to drive 34. Then we have a lot of students that actually live in the South Valley of Albuquerque, which is around probably an hour away from our school, that they also have to travel every single day. And so that has been something that we're trying to work around and definitely improve, is how can we because my principal talked about this. He wants to not deny access to anybody or like have a lot of people on the waiting list. Yeah, because we want to be able to admit as many people as possible. But how do we make location and traveling not a hindering factor when wanting to come to East Mountain? And so, yeah, several of my friends and students have expressed how it's difficult to get to our school, which is just unfortunate. But I mean, we've been actively and proactively working around those problems and definitely trying to find solutions to making sure that our access is easy and really equitable to really everyone.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's extremely important. I mean, and it's a testament to East Mountain, like if people are willing to travel so far to go to school
Yeah.
there. And so you said you guys, like, are you currently in the process of like increasing the busing, or are you still like advocating for that, or what step are you in the process?
So this year was our first year that we implemented our busing program, which has been going great. We're meeting at the Tejeras Library, which is a little city down 15 minutes from Sandia Park, which is like a central place for people to meet up. And so that's currently like what our busing system is right now. And we're looking to expand that definitely in the near future and really can't wait till that becomes a bigger program for more people.
Rock on. That's really cool. Yeah. I mean, some people think like, hey, it's either all or nothing. Like they have to be picked up on their doorstep and brought straight here. But like, I love how you guys are just gradually just trying to make something better and better and better. Um, really cool. And I love how you talk about the strengths of being in the rural area. Like I've been to some, urban charter schools, and like they're very centrally located. It's easy to get there, a lot of public transportation, but sometimes it looks more like a prison than a charter school. There's like barbed wire fence everywhere, and like it's, could be in kind of some dangerous areas. It seems like East Mountain, there's a lot of nature. You have the ability to just be outside a little bit more. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely nice. I like it here. The sun rises right over the mountains, and it's really beautiful. Yeah,
that's really cool. So that's really cool. And I mean, you mentioned how you're in a geographically, different location. And you're kind of lobbying for, the bus system. You talked about how you go to APS and like have these different things that you advocate for. Can you kind of tell me the importance of like student advocacy and like what part it's played in your life, but also like for East Mountain?
of course. So the importance of student advocacy definitely, to me, is getting my voice heard. I think that's something that's always been crucial to me, is being able to amplify my voice in a public setting. But it's also necessarily not just mine. There's several students on our campus, and I guess potentially around the state, that feel that they don't have the opportunity or don't feel that they have their voice amplified. But I find that student advocacy with a large group of students has the ability to amplify those voices who do not feel particularly strong in those kinds of areas. And so what we typically do within our school with student advocacy is just have students speak their mind about general topics, general things that they would like to see typically changed, improved, or really, I guess, advocated on, that they feel are important. And from kind of my perspective, I've seen it through our speech and debate program. I've seen it through several sports on how the New Mexico Activities Association, their kind of playbook and their guidebook that they have for like the rulings for how people play sports. We advocate for those rules to be changed if they're seen as unfair or unjust. And student advocacy has been here since the school was born in 2000. I think it's really been fostered at East Mountain High School, and we've definitely made sure that every student knows that they have a voice and that they are able to speak if and when they want to. We have a class dedicated to it called advisory. We have an advisor it's like a homeroom class, and this is where we can typically talk about things we want to see improve, change, or advocate for things that we feel are important. And I find that has been a really important stepping stone in a lot of students' lives, because it's not always seen. And especially it's also different for us because we have a smaller school population. So it means that a lot of more students' voices are typically heard. But I definitely see it improving a whole lot of students' lives, being able to advocate on the spot and speak on the spot about topics and issues that they feel are important. And like you said about going down to the APS board meetings, it's actually really great because student perspectives are really valued there. And when there aren't a lot of student perspectives, it can become sort of an echo chamber kind of, because you have this principal, this teacher from this school, another teacher from a school. The students are a wide demographic. You can have a freshman to a senior kind of student, somebody who participates in robotics, somebody who participates in volleyball. And I think they bring these different perspectives to the conversation. And I find that has been really important, the different perspectives that we get from student advocacy, because I can't speak on the behalf of girls volleyball, but somebody else on girls volleyball can surely speak on behalf of it and talk about how either one, our East Mountain High School has been benefiting them, or how some things need to change. And that has been really important to not just myself, but the whole school and community.
Wow. No, that's awesome. So I didn't plan to ask this, but is there, just out of curiosity, is there like one thing that like that's kind of like you really care about when it comes to advocacy? Because right now we've just talked about it as a whole, but is there a specific topic that like really gets you going? Or
Actually, yes. Thank you for asking this question. I am a big fan of financial literacy. I find that within New Mexico, students are not financially literate, and it makes it harder down the road, especially when going to college, pursuing a career. They do not have the access, or they do not have the knowledge of necessary financial skills, because financial literacy is not required within as a high school graduation credit, which I think is unfortunate, because I think every single student should have the option to become financially literate and understand their finances and what they're doing in the future with their money. And so I've gone to the legislature to speak on behalf of making financial literacy a high school class requirement, which has been really important to myself because I'm currently taking financial literacy, which I think has been great. But that has been a topic that has been particularly really important to me and my group, the East Mountain Advocacy Committee. We've definitely advocated for that topic a lot because we find that it is really important, and we want to make sure that students are setting themselves up for a positive future within their finances.
Oh, that's so true. Pretty much, I feel like a lot of just the negative things in the world can stem from just a financially horrible situation. Like when you think of like divorces or, bankruptcy, or just people not feeling free, or like a lot of the crime, it's all stemmed just from someone being put in a bad position financially. So that's really, really awesome. So just like attack it right at the root,
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Well, I love that our conversations just kind of drifted to advocacy and change. And charter schools were in like a rapidly like growing environment where charter schools are becoming more and more common in the United States. So with charter schools growing, I understand East Mountain is also growing. You mentioned that you're expanding also to middle school. How's that been like from your perspective, and what ways has like student advocacy been like a part in this expansion, like around you?
So from my perspective, it's been completely positive. I've been so excited to expand our resources as a charter school to more students. That's one thing that I found has been particularly interesting, is the cap of students that we're able to admit. Right now we are around 430 students at East Mountain, and I've been wanting to increase our access of our resources to more students so that they have access to all the things that we offer at East Mountain. And so from my perspective, it's been completely positive, because it's exactly what I've been wanting, moving to a middle school, being able to serve a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes with all of our resources. I will say it has also been interesting because the developments have gone through some interesting phases. Next year, we will be serving just 6th grade, and then we'll be moving to all 6th, 7th, 8th in the following year. So the fall of 2026, we'll have just 6th grade, and then once we move into the fall of 2027, that's when we'll have all 3 grades, because we're working on building our new building for the middle school. And so from my perspective, like I've heard students speak out for the middle school, and some students speak out against, because we've been a high school for 25 years. And so a lot of change, I think, can be impactful. But it's those conversations and those discussions about, well, why do you think this is a bad thing? Like, tell me why you don't think we should be a middle school. That's where I think we get to an understanding of why we should become a middle school, and how that is going to benefit not just us after we graduate, but also the students to come. And so from my perspective, it's been completely positive. And then from a student advocacy perspective, we recently had, I guess not recently, but our senior retreat for the senior class was around a month and a half ago, right before school started. And we were tasked with solving a problem. And the problem was to figure out, how do we effectively make sure that 6th graders, that the middle school and the high school can collaborate together, but also not, I guess, be a hindrance, or like hinder each other with the space that we have and where we are. And so we were tasked with coming up with a proposal, an idea that gives us kind of a different lunch schedule, a busing schedule, when class time should be, because our admin wanted to see what we thought and how we think that should be handled. And so student advocacy has been just, I think, there's been so much more student advocacy around this one topic than I think I've ever seen in the last 4 years, because I think students are realizing kind of the weight that this new development is going to have on the community, and they're really taking it to heart and thinking about, well, if I was in sixth grade, I would have really wanted this. I would have loved to come to East Mountain when I was in sixth grade. And so we had a strong push for student advocacy to figure out, well, what is best for the students? Let's hear from your perspective. And that has been, I think, a really amazing thing to see. And I think it has shaped a lot of what the admin is going to do for the middle school, because they've heard from what the students want and they kind of agree with what the students think should happen.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. I mean, what a cool exercise, because I mean, you guys are obviously having fun on a retreat, but it also gives you the opportunity to problem solve, to critically think, and then also communicate. And so that's really, really awesome that they decided to do that. That's super exciting that you guys are expanding. That's, I mean, what you guys are doing at East Mountain seems really, really awesome. And I'm super appreciative of your time. What does the future look like for Miller? What's after East Mountain for you?
So after East Mountain, I'm looking to go to college. I'm in the applying process right now. I've been working on my college essays and all the supplemental ones. But I'm looking to go to Vanderbilt. I think that's my top school right now. But yeah, I'm looking to go to college. And I want to major in public policy or political science. I have grown my passion for kind of charter schools and student advocacy my junior year, and I want to continue that in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. It's been interesting. I know I want to work with charter schools and education in particular, and I'd also love to actually major in education policy in particular, because I think that has really been my calling. To work with charter schools either in my state, in my home state in New Mexico, or anywhere else, because I feel that a student that's in a charter school can be benefited extremely in any way, shape, or form, because they have that ability to speak out and create change. And I want to give that to every single student possible.
Man, that's awesome, Miller. I mean, whatever you decide to pursue, I know you're going to do great at and see much success. Yeah. Well, Miller, I guess this is to wrap up the podcast. I was wondering if there's just any final things that like I didn't touch, base on and you wanted to bring up.
No, I think we hit everything.
Awesome. Before we go, you have to explain that funny picture of you on the whiteboard behind you.
All right. So I think I've been let's see, I don't know how to say this. I'm a little bit popular at our school, which is a little funny. That was our National Honor Society drew that, I think, my sophomore year we had like an ice cream social, and that has been up here ever since sophomore year. So it has just been in our guidance office where my mom works. And so, yeah, that's kind of where it's just been there, and it's funny. It's just stayed there. So.
All right. So, I mean, if you probably tried to erase it, it might just be stuck on there forever.
I think so.
Well, awesome. Miller, it's great talking to you. And thanks again for reaching out to schedule this. It was a pleasant surprise hearing that we had students listening to our podcast and wanting to get on the show. And anyone else listening to this, just know if you have the intuition and like the drive like Miller to get on the podcast, all you have to do is reach out. So, but thanks again, Miller, and you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. You too.
See ya.